Hello, guys. It's Chris here, otherwise known as UtdActive on Twitter, delivering you the latest Manchester United news in terms of transfers, player news, and some other stuff around Manchester United. Make sure you drop us a follow on that Twitter. It's been fantastic of late. I think we're on about 7.5k followers, so I appreciate you all for doing that. And we'll continue to give you the news where it's very confusing on Twitter, but I'll continue to provide you the news accordingly. So today we are going to discuss, there's a lot of topics to discuss and there's a lot of updates, there's a lot of stuff come out. So today we're going to talk about players that Manchester United could potentially get this summer, where the situations are with them currently, and we'll see where if Ten Hag is going to fit them into their style, and what kind of stuff that he's expecting Manchester United to deliver with him this summer. And we'll talk about that in length. That'll be the first part. Then we're going to talk about player futures, what's going on with Ronaldo. There's been some stuff gone on Twitter, so I just want to discuss that, and what the situation is with Pogba. That seems pretty clear, but we'll talk about that. And obviously the structure of the club. A couple of departures have happened and we kind of expect a few more. And that leads on to the director of football that we're going to do towards the end. And what I've got a slight update on that one, so we're going to discuss where we are with that one. So let's talk about players. So first and foremost, Manchester United have made the right choice. They've hired Ten Hag. I've known since last year. But as I said, the news is out now. He's been confirmed as the Manchester United manager. They've gone with the right decision. Pochettino wasn't the right man. He was 5 years ago. We've talked about that. Doesn't matter. Now Ten Hag is the manager for the next season. Fantastic. And Manchester United are going to back him in the summer. So what does that mean now? So what Ten Hag is doing at the moment is he's in both jobs, kind of. So he's looking at the current sort of players, what their situations are, and seeing if they would fit into his plan. So he is one of those guys that will plan quite far ahead, and that's why he's made it known recently that he's already asked for certain demands, and that's been accepted. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken the job. So there's a lot of stuff around that. And then he's looking at the loan players that are on loan to see if they could come back and fit into the mould and who needs to be sold. And they're discussing that with the board and Ragnick together. So that is kind of that in a nutshell. What kind of players have been linked? So let's talk about those players and what their situation is currently. So in terms of defenders, because we know Manchester United are targeting a centre-back this summer, or potentially a centre-back / right-back, which kind of hints it. And they might go for both. We'll have to see how the investment works with that one. But Manchester United have recognised that the centre-back position isn't fully covered. None of the centre-backs have kind of stamped it down. Maguire's had a bad season. I don't expect him to be sold next season, but you never know. I've not heard anything around that. Varane's got some bad injuries. Although I'm hoping next season that he doesn't, but they can't take that risk. And ultimately, Bailly and Jones, I don't see them playing for Manchester United next season, especially after Bailly's comments on Instagram, not professional. Don't see him staying at the club. I think his time's done. And then you've got Lindelof, who's had some not great performances at late, although a lot of the fan base like him, some people don't. So there's that sort of grey area with the defence. So Manchester United are looking at defenders, and they are definitely prioritising the centre-back. So the two names that have been mentioned mainly is Timber, who's coming out Ajax with the next Manchester United manager. He can play in multiple positions, so he can play centre-back, right-back, or even right wing, as we've seen. So he can play multiple positions around, which is, Ten Hag likes people being versatile. He likes it where he can pick and choose players in different positions if they need to, or if there's been injuries and those sort of things. So Timber is one to look out for. Now, with Timber, I did get an update around about half an hour ago. I have quoted some news to say Timber is having talks with Manchester United. Looked into it. There is no particular talks at the moment. The only reason why that's been quoted is there is actually a strong interest from Manchester United. So Man United do want to sign Timber, but there has been no discussions yet. So there's no concrete discussions. There's no discussions with his agent. And there's been no discussions with the actual club Ajax themselves. But what I will say about that one is Manchester United have a fantastic relationship, because the quickest deal they've ever done was done with Ajax, with Donny, and they've managed to announce a manager before the end of the season. And that's because it's Ajax. So they have great relationships with them. And Timber likes the way that Ten Hag plays the type of football that he wants to play. So there's been some quotes that he wants to stay in the Champions League, but if Ten Hag comes calling, he will go there. Manchester United, that is a next step for him. It's a little bit different, and he is only 20 years old, so no rush. But there is concrete interest. You can invest in those particular rumours, but as I said, there is nothing at the moment. There's no talks. There's no talks with the club, but it could be done fairly quickly, and you're looking around £45 million for that player, not 30 million. I've seen someone ask me around 30 million. That's incredibly low for someone who's got that amount of talent and can play in multiple positions. So you're looking around 45 million, but it can be done on a structured deal. We're not at that point yet, so I can only assume that they could do a structured deal. But Ajax and Manchester United have a great relationship. But as I said, to end that part, there is interest in Timber. Manchester United would like to sign him. Ten Hag would like to prioritise him. But there is no talks at the moment. So we can't escalate where that is in that point, but there is interest, as I said. Now, another one that's been linked with Manchester United for over a year now, even further back, is Pau Torres. It was one of my first videos that Manchester United were interested in him, and we're still getting that news come around now. Now, Pau Torres is, very strong left back. He's quite pacey. He's got, he's very strong. He's good awareness, and he's incredibly young. So he's quite fairly in the reasonable size that they would need to be for a Premier League centre-back. So there's a lot of good qualities that he would bring to Manchester United, and young as well still. So he's still learning. Thing is with Pau Torres is that he is very young as well, so he might want to go to Real Madrid or go to somewhere else, but they look like they're getting Rudiger now, so that couldn't happen. But Barcelona might look at him. There's different clubs that could look at Pau Torres. Pau Torres is available for around 60 million, I believe, just under. So it's a fairly decent deal to do. And that is another one to watch out for. But at the moment, there is no talks. There is no discussions with the agents, no discussions with the players. I know there's been news, I think 4 weeks ago, where people say Pau Torres is happening. No one credible has come out with that yet. And there is no particular talks with his agent or players' discussions. But those are the two main players to look at. There will be some other centre-backs, and if there are, I will quote them or I will treat them accordingly to say, yes, this has got potential. But at the moment, we're not at that stage. Timber and Pau Torres look the most likely ones to be looking at, but Manchester United are looking at multiple targets this summer, because they recognise that they can't just drag it out for 6 to 8 weeks like they've done with every other deal in the past. They have to get on with it now, and they are getting on with stuff now. They just haven't advanced negotiations with any players yet. Now, that's the defenders. Let me know your comments below if there's any particular defender you would like, or who would you prefer between Torres and Timber. Let me know about that in the comments. Now, the next ones are midfielders. So Manchester United have recognised that they're incredibly exposed in the midfield. If you look at the difference between the space with the midfield and the centre-backs, a lot of teams are getting behind them quite easy. There's a lot of space in that area because of the positional awareness. There is no natural central defence midfielder at Manchester United, although some people have tried it, haven't been great because you're trying to adapt to different positions. So what Manchester United are doing at the moment is they are looking for a centre defence midfielder, and they are looking for two midfielders. So they're not just looking for a central defence midfielder, they're looking for an out-and-out midfielder as well. Because you've got to look at it this summer. And this will tie in now. I'm going to actually fast forward this a little bit. Pogba's leaving, first and foremost. Pogba's not staying. All right? Simple fact. I haven't been told otherwise. I haven't said. Pogba, I mentioned back in July, got a contract offer, hasn't accepted it. His agent hasn't accepted it. They want to go on a free and just shop around and get him the highest wage. Now, in my opinion, as a neutral, Pogba should leave and Manchester United should part ways with him, because it hasn't worked out, and it's not going to work out under Ten Hag, because he isn't the type of player that Ten Hag needs. and he isn't the type of player that Manchester United no longer need. And that doesn't mean replace him with a big name. That means replace him with someone who's going to play for the shirt and is going to be consistent. Two ways around it. It's both United and Pogba's fault. Pogba hasn't been good enough for 89 million. I'm sorry if that hurts people with fans. I like Pogba, by the way. I think he is a world-class player on his day, but he's not consistent enough. And I like consistent players, and I like people not to make excuses. You're in a football team, and there's a lot of players in sorry to rant a little bit, but there's a lot of players in that Manchester United team that don't deserve to be in the first 11 or don't play well or they're not consistent enough. And I would sell some of them as well. But Pogba, there's just too much around him. There's too much for his agent. Ten Hag needs to start with a clean slate. But again, Ten Hag is going to have a conversation with Pogba, but I expect Pogba to leave, to go somewhere like PSG, where it's easy for him to win leagues and have the space that he wants in an easier league. Because I think he struggles in the Premier League. I honestly do. He can't do everything he wants to do. He won't have all that time and touches on the ball. And sometimes he's a bit clumsy in like defending and those sort of things, although that's not what he's there for. But it just hasn't worked out. And that isn't saying Pogba's a bad player. It just hasn't worked out. Manchester United recognised this. They offered him a contract last July. If he doesn't accept it, he moves on. They haven't changed the stance on that, by the way. There's been no new contract. So that's what's happening. So that's why they're looking for two new midfielders, because they expect Pogba to go. And I've heard nothing to say Pogba will stay. And normally when that happens with a free agent, he's gone. So we're at that stage. Now, let's go through the midfielders. You got Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice is a hot topic this summer. He's going to be a hot topic this summer because there's multiple clubs interested in him. There's Chelsea, there's Manchester City, and there's Man United. All right. Now, Manchester City are going to, I think they would struggle to get Declan Rice and Holland. But now, I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but the amount of money they're going to have to put in the Haaland deal is a lot. And then they're under an investigation anyway, so it's going to be tricky. But they could do it, and find a way. It's Manchester City. So let's see. They're in for it. They want a midfielder. Fernandinho's leaving. So Declan Rice kind of fits in that. Now, Manchester United will only be able to do it if it's a structured deal because they're not in a position similar to Manchester City. They have to rebuild. There's multiple positions that they have to do it. Whereas Manchester City need to just sign 2 players and they're already winning the league again next season. That's just the way it is. City have done it better for Manchester United for years and years post-Ferguson. And they've done it the right way. And United are suddenly realising how they need to do it as a club. So they're a little bit behind in that sense. Eventually, these types of signings will just become the nature if they need to make them. Because they have a balanced squad, they don't at the moment. They've just been signing players that they thought would fit and papering over the cracks. So they're no longer going to happen. Now, Declan Rice would only happen in Manchester United for a structured deal. And West Ham could get Champions League through the Europa League. Don't have to do that. All right. But again, I think Rice's contract ends 2024 or 2025. It's got another year. I don't know, from my understanding, looking at it. But West Ham will sell it to the right price, and because there's 3 clubs involved, they will get a guarantee 100 million from someone this summer. So don't think Declan Rice will happen in Manchester United unless it's a structured deal, or unless the Glazers say, okay, Pogba's leaving. We're losing a lot of players in terms of wages, so we can save on that and calculate it and say Declan Rice could be an exceptional signing, but you'll still have the rest of your budget to deal with. So United would need a £300 million budget if they wanted to do Declan Rice. If they want to back Ten Hag correctly, they would have to. I just don't see that happening with the Glazers. They're going to give him around 180 to 200 million from what I heard. But we'll have to see from them. Maybe Manchester United involve someone like Martial or someone different for West Ham. A couple of players involved in there, maybe Wan-Bissaka or Martial. There could be ways they do it, right? But I just don't see West Ham selling to Manchester United. There's been issues with Lingard stuff in those situations. So it's a difficult one to do. I'm not ruling it out at the moment. I'm just saying there is nothing concrete with Manchester United, but he is on their wish list. They would love him. But again, it's so difficult to do. But as I said, those are scenarios can happen. Nothing at the moment. As we go along into the summer, or May for definitely, I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about that. Now, Frenkie de Jong, Barcelona. A lot of rumours around him. A lot of rumours. All right. Played under Ten Hag. Fantastic under Ten Hag. has been okay for Barcelona, if we could agree. He's been good this season under Xavi, who is bringing the best out of him now. And they've got a lot of good midfielders. They've got Gabby, and different midfielders coming in. So is there an opportunity for De Jong? Well, we know Barcelona have still probably got to sell a couple of players, and De Jong could be one of them. What it is at the moment is, and from what I understand, is it won't happen this season. Because one thing is that it's around, so I think around 60 to 65 million pounds they could sell him for. I think they would probably be a little bit higher than that, if you're being honest, because of De Jong's profile. Manchester United wanted. I'm not going to rule out De Jong for the following season, because if I think Manchester United get Champions League football, which is what I kind of expect them to do in the first season with Ten Hag, because I do rate this manager, then there's a chance for him the following season. Don't see it this season, because the manager wants him to continue and the player wants him to continue at Barcelona. Because one, the manager extremely relies on him, and two, De Jong is liking the project that Barcelona is starting to deliver. And Manchester United, without being harsh, not going to be in the Champions League next season. They'll be lucky to be in the Europa. But Ten Hag is the manager, so a lot of people will be attracted to him. That might unfold, but there is no talks. A lot of the reporters will link these particular players. Now, De Jong's been linked to Manchester United in the past, but a lot of these players will be linked because previous managers going to Manchester United. Okay, so there's a lot of those sort of things around that happening, and we have to take that with a pinch of salt. At the moment, there is nothing. The reports that have done, there's been the ones I've quoted are quite reliable in terms of their sources. So it just depends on the situation this summer, and it could change. But at the moment, I'm told there is nothing of it, so I have to go with that. There is nothing. When I was speaking about it and looking into De Jong, all I got was not at the moment. He's going to continue at Barcelona, right? So that's where we are with that one. If it changes, I'll let you know. Now, Tchouameni from Monaco is the player that most Manchester United fans want. Extremely mature, very young age. There's a lot of news in that one, and that one, Manchester United have had small talks with his camp. So they've asked for what his intentions are going to be this summer. So what does he want to do this summer? From my understanding, at the moment, he's not made a decision. And I've spoken to someone in France about this. He's quite close. He works for Canal Plus. He works for football. He's not made a decision yet. There's no decision on what he wants to do. So Manchester United could pounce for him. He's around £70 million, I believe, for that particular player. Now, Madrid are the favourites, and Madrid are always favourites with these players. But if you take the look of Camavinga's development, it's going to be 2 years before he's starting at Madrid. And Tchouameni, probably could jump ahead of him. There's issues there with that one. So it depends on what Madrid do. If Madrid don't do anything, Manchester United are favourites to sign him. But he does want Champions League football. It's not a mandatory requirement. And Ten Hag could obviously convince him. So we'll have to see with that one. At the moment. But there has been talks with his agent to say, what is the intentions this summer for Tchouameni? What does he want to do? Is he going to Madrid? And the agent said there's no decision made yet. Come back to us in May. And that was what I got from that one. So we'll see. But there has been talks. So that's kind of a positive one on that one. People are asking me about Kamara from Marseille. Nothing at the moment. I can see him going to the La Liga. Manchester United did say in January that they might look at him again. There isn't anything at the moment. They haven't looked at him further. He wants around 150k a year. A good, solid player would be good. We'll have to see on that one. Manchester United could go back in talks, but there is nothing with that one at the moment. So we'll have to park that one until that happens. The Tchouameni one seems the most likeliest to be discussed, but we'll have to see with that one on that one. Now, in terms of forwards, so Manchester United will be going for a young striker this summer. No questions asked, 100% they go for a striker. One thing is Greenwood's situation. We're going to talk about Greenwood, all right? I don't normally talk about these situations, but Greenwood, we don't know what's going on with his future. We don't know where he is. Most Man United fans don't want him anymore. Completely understandable. I agree with them. Shouldn't play for the club anymore. But it's up to Manchester United what they do with them. And whatever his decision is and whatever the outcome of his situation, then we talk about it. Not now. I don't want to speculate about it. But that's one of the reasons why is that United might need two strikers, because we'll talk about Ronaldo's future now, and why it ties into why I'm saying they might need two strikers this summer. All right. So Ronaldo at the moment likes to play in the Champions League, or he likes European football. He's always played in the Champions League wherever he's gone. So that's always been part of his mind. Now he's 37 years old, so he's coming towards the end of his career. He could play for another 4 or 5 seasons and still scored loads of goals a season. That's just how incredibly fit the player is. However, Ronaldo's not deciding now. He's had no offers from clubs. I've seen some stuff from there. There's been no offers from the clubs at the moment, from the situation. Ronaldo will go wherever he wants to go, and that's just the way he is. So if he wants to leave, he can leave Manchester United. That's how he would play it. He would let them know he's a little bit more respectful. I mean, at Juventus, he decided to walk in one day and say, I'm going, bye. But he won't do that at Manchester United. He's a bit more respectful for Manchester United. So I'm expecting him to have discussions, probably start now, because the season's over. There's nothing to play for, it's just pride, and see what the outcome is with Ronaldo. But I'm told that Ten Hag and Ronaldo would like to work with each other, so we'll have to see what Ronaldo decides in the end. And we'll know from there. And if Ronaldo decides to leave, that means Manchester United need two strikers this summer. Because you can't rely on Martial and Rashford. That wouldn't be great for them to do that. But Ten Hag can get the best out of people, and we'll have to see where that goes with that one. Now, with forwards, you got Darwin Núñez, Benfica striker. Darwin Núñez, sorry. Benfica striker, top talent. Can see him coming to Manchester United even without Champions League football, because of the people question, well, he's not sort of Ten Hag's kind of player. He doesn't fit the style. Okay, but there's been talks of him, so Ten Hag knows about it. But there's been some talks with Núñez's camp. But that's only same as the Monaco midfielder Tchouameni, is to understand his intentions this summer. Once they understand his intentions, they will either go in advance and sign him, get him for around 60 million, I think, around that, somewhere around there. Clinical striker. We'll see what happens with him in the summer. Manchester United are one of the favourites to sign him, and they have had some talks with him at the moment. So although there were early talks, they have spoken to him. So there is intentions there, and they would have told Ten Hag beforehand about this. So you have to take that as well. You've got Jonathan David, although he isn't that clinical. Apparently, he's got good goals to ratio for high, big chances. So that's good, but it's the French league. Don't know about him. From what I'm gotten, it's very quiet. I'm not hearing a lot of stuff around Jonathan David. I did mention him months ago, and people started talking about it now that he was on the list. But it's incredibly gone quiet with him at the moment. So we'll see. That could always be a good thing, of course. Like a lot of times with transfers, I'll suddenly get to know a week before a bid's gone in, or they're trying to advance negotiations and say, hey, this is happening. Jonathan David at the moment from Lille is quiet. There is nothing. So from my understanding, there wouldn't be any talks at the moment, but we'll have to see with that. Christopher Nkunku. Nkunku is a very good player as well. Clinical player. Probably the best suited for Ten Hag in terms of his versatility. He can play on the right, he can go forward, he can go cam. He's got multiple positions in attack that he can play, and he's incredibly, he's clinical from all areas. But his team has said, and the members of the board have said, the current team, Red Bull, have said, he's not for sale for this summer. Now, when they say that, I never believe German clubs, because they will say that all the time, and then in the end, if they get a big bid, he'll go. Because they won't, they will sell him for around 60 to 65 million if needed, or a little bit less. But he is on the list for Manchester United. He's on the list. He's there. And it's for Ten Hag to proceed. So all these sort of players we're talking about today, Ten Hag in the next couple of weeks will say, right, let's go for these ones, and then they'll advance on it. But they'll go for realistic targets, and there will be some surprises. And I know there's some surprises. I'm not going to give it away now, but there will be some surprises this summer in terms of transfers. Now, Rangnick has talked about 6 to 10 players coming this summer, right? He's not wrong about that, because I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, United have never done this in the past. But United have got a lot of players leaving this summer. Here's a few. Cavani, although Cavani hasn't played this season. You got Pogba leaving, which is a big midfielder. You got Matic leaving, right? You've got Mata leaving. You've got Lingard leaving. There's a lot of players. We don't know what's going on with Mason Greenwood. There's dozens of players that are leaving this summer. Jones and Bailly were leaving. I think there'll be about 10 people leaving this summer, easily, right? So you have to replace them. So 6 players is not unrealistic. And people are looking at this because when they do this, and a lot of fans will do this, they'll go, oh, we'll get Pau Torres for 60 million, we'll get Tchouameni for 80 million, and then we'll get Nunes for 60 million, and that's 200 million pounds spent. But who says you're going to get all 3? Look, the thing is with this, right, is there could be players that you buy for 15 million. And the reason why you could be buying them for 15 million is because they fit the style now for Ten Hag, or they fit the style for the next 3 to 5 years. This is a long-term project now. This is a reset, right? So you need to think about this a little bit outside the box and say, well, not all of the signings are going to be expensive. Some of the signings could be free contracts like Kamara or Dybala, by the way, could happen. Although I very much doubt he's going to move out of Italy, or he might go somewhere else. But what I'm giving you examples is there could be a free contract with someone, a free agent comes in. There could be players at 15 million. There could be loans. There could be players that are not too expensive or not mainstream names. And then a couple that are mainstream names. It's understanding that balance. United can't start buying Varane, Sancho in one window doesn't need to realistically be the same anymore. They could buy one premium player and the rest small, but they're effective. And that's sometimes how you build success when you do building a club, is you don't just buy whoever you think will fit. Like if I went and said, let's buy Rice, Timber and Nunes, that might not work because you still got big names coming in. So there'll be a mixture of things going in and there'll be a mixture of youth players coming up. So he is being realistic. So the people are laughing about that is Rangnick knows what he's talking about because he wouldn't be saying what he's saying in the press conferences. The Glazers have allowed him to speak that way. The amount of times he's said bad things about Manchester United and their current structure, it's good for the Glazers. And the reason why I say that is because they can go in and say, look what we've done. Look what we've changed. Look what we've done. A lot of people will do that. Some of my staff, some of my investments will say, this is what is needed. This is what needed in this sense. This is what's needed from this staff, and then say, look what I've done afterwards. And that's what Rangnick's doing, and that's what the Glazers are doing. It's good PR, right? So you need to understand sometimes is that it doesn't have to be the top talent. It could be small players coming in and out, and you have to get used to that now because if you look at how Rangnick has worked from previous clubs. His transfers are not being expensive, and he'll probably say, right, let's do a little bit more expensive because you've got more money to play with, and he'll help Ten Hag with those decisions together with the board. All right, and it's been spoken about heavily. I'm not saying anything that's not breaking news. It's just you've got to be logical with how it thinks. So that's where we are with it. All right, and that's where we are with Ronaldo and Pogba's future and those sort of things, and where we are with the players. And there might be some surprises, as I've said. Expect surprises, and I will probably tweet the news out of random players you've never heard of that could happen. All right, so you need to understand that. And they're looking in multiple leagues, looking in the French league, looking in the Bundesliga, they're looking in the Spanish league, they're looking in the English Premier League for young strikers, like even Tony is on the list and those sort of things. So they're looking at different multiple players that fit his style. All right, so just bear with us on that one. Now, I know everyone's looking for this one. The structure of Manchester United is changing. And we have seen that because you've seen Jim Lawler go and Marcel Bout have both gone. So scout and recruitment have left. All right. People say, oh, they've stepped down. They got fired. It's just a nice way of saying they've stepped down because of the long service. All right. That does happen a lot of times in companies. So you need to be mindful that there is a structure change going on and it's going to be more streamlined where John wants it to be and where Rangnick fits in. Now, in terms of the recruitment, in terms of the deputy director of football, my understanding is at the moment is they're having advanced negotiations with Paul Mitchell. And we'll have to see how that goes because he's still contracted by Monaco, although there's been some conflicting reports saying he's left. No, he isn't. We're staying because Monaco have probably realised Manchester United are interested to get some money out of him. That's what could be the case. Now, Paul Mitchell is the favourite at the moment. All right. So there's advanced negotiations with him. The deputy director of football hasn't been completely decided. There are other ones that are going on, but normally with these things, they tend to go with the favourite. All right. So Paul Mitchell looks likely at the moment. But as I said, there could be some other candidates involved. And I did say that in the previous podcast. You look back at those candidates, they also have chances to come in there. So that's where we are with that. And Rangnick's situation could turn into more than being a consultant, from what I understand. They're going to be talking at the end of the season to discuss his future and how he sees himself fits in at Manchester United and how he fits in with Ten Hag, because Ten Hag likes the sort of sporting director person around him or close or sitting near the bench or those sort of things. He likes that. So that's possible for that to happen. And he's already quoted about that. So that's where we are with the situation with Manchester United currently. And there is a lot of things that have gone on, a lot of players that have been linked. There's a lot of news out there at the moment. I tried to make it as clear as possible, give you some updates around it, and then we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. And as I said, guys, in terms of players, I've gone through them and giving you the updates accordingly. The player futures like Ronaldo and Pogba. We haven't talked about Martial and Rashford yet because Ten Hag has got to assess them sort of players. So we'll be able to talk about that in the next few weeks to see what's going on with there. And also, we've talked about some of the structure and Paul Mitchell being the favourite. So there are some other things going on at the moment. And I appreciate you guys today. I know it's been a lot to speak about. There's a lot of things to talk about. And there will be a lot of things to talk about next week. There'll be some more podcasts. There'll be one about, there's some new podcasts coming out next week. There is one about this new wave of journalism. There's the ITKs are now calling themselves journalists. So we're going to talk about that. Quite a juicy one, by the way. I'm going to be as professional as possible with that one, but it's going to be difficult. It's an interesting one. I've had some help with that one, so we'll see how that one goes. And there's going to be a little bit more in depth around player targets in 3 to 4 weeks. But I appreciate you guys today, and I appreciate all the followers that are going on in Twitter. Twitter is going quite far for us now, and I appreciate every single person that likes, retweets, or follows us. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can just look at my Twitter. That's not a problem. But I do appreciate that. It does help in terms of our Manchester United community that we have on Discord now. So that is changing. It's no longer Football League Hub. It's just purely Manchester United. And I've always only ever delivered Manchester United news anyway. I've had connections in other clubs, but I deal with that outside of this now. A lot of different journalists and those sort of discussions go on. So it's just Manchester United news that we deliver to all the Manchester United fans. But I appreciate you all, guys. And I'm hoping you've had a good weekend and hope you have a fantastic week ahead. And let's hope for better times for Manchester United this summer. We're going in the right direction. A lot of things are going on. I'm always in the Discord if you want to pop me a question. Just don't tag me, of course, because most of the time you're out. Just come into the Discord. Even tweet me, tag me on Twitter or give me a DM, those sort of things. I'm always around, happy to discuss anything with you. And I appreciate you all, guys. But thank you very much today. Take care now.
Your life as a youngster.
Ruthless, my style is a juvenile. Ran with a gang, slanged in the meanwhile banking. I specialize in ganking white Mexican brothers and others daily. It's all about coming up, making sure no punks are running up.